Hello, welcome and thank you for being here today. I'm Colin from Colin Tutor Flowers, and today I'm going to be making a low table centrepiece, and this would be ideal at a dinner table if you were doing DIY wedding flowers or for a special occasion or an event and you wanted a long low decoration to go down the centre of the table. Now I'm going to be using this plastic tray here. It's one that I just happened to have about the place, and but you could use any sort of similar sort of container. It's going to be very low, the decoration, and one of the features of it is going to be at the edge. The flowers and foliage are going to actually be touching the table, so you won't be able to see the container at all. So you could use this, or maybe a lid of a shoebox lined with plastic paper, or some plastic food trays or something like that. And you can buy palm leaf trays as well, which are biodegradable. Now this tray would be ideal if you use floral foam. You could place 2 blocks of floral foam in there and attach them with tape, the plastic foam or the agra-wool as well. I don't use plastic floral foam, and today I'm going to be showing you how to do a completely biodegradable design. So there'll be nothing left at the end, nothing's going to go to waste. The container will be reused, and everything in the design is going to be compostable. So there's whether it goes to landfill or whether you put it on the compost heap, there'll be nothing wasted. Everything will be biodegrade and go back back to the earth, and so that's an important part of the design. It's not just what's on the outside and the flowers, but hopefully the people that are seeing it will yeah, just consider that the whole thing will just break down naturally and return to the earth. And if you've got a garden, this is really good stuff to put on your garden. It will really make your plants grow. So it's actually a plant. It's like a fertilizer for the garden. So it's actually really beneficial for the plants. So I've made this mix. It's made out of coconut fibre, and so it's a waste product from producing coconuts. It's the husk from the outside of a coconut, and this stuff piles up where they grow the coconuts, and so we're sort of doing people a favour by taking it away. And it's dried and compressed into bricks, and then you rehydrate it when you want to use it, and it all sort of fluffs up and makes a growing medium for plants. And I've mixed this up with some newspaper. I've pulped up some newspaper and mixed that in as well, and added some flour and water glue. So this is all in totally natural, biodegradable medium to arrange your flowers in. Just to say that for myself, it is, you know, it's a little bit sort of mucky on the hands, but there are no nasty chemicals in here. I'm not breathing in formaldehyde or plastic dust or anything, or rock wool dust or anything like that. And so it's very kind for the people that are actually doing the arrangements. Now I don't find that this smells. It's maybe got a sort of an earthy smell to it, but you can just add a few drops of essential oil to it if you want to just keep it nice and fresh. And it can be reused. When you finish the design, you can reuse it 2 or 3 times. Eventually it will start to decompose, but I've not found that its smell has been sort of particularly a problem with it. You get 2 or 3 goes out of it, and then you can just, like I say, put it on the compost heap, you use it. Or actually, you could separate this out and you could just put it into potting mix and grow plants in it. So really, lovely stuff to use. And what I like about it is, it holds quite a lot of water, but you could just shape it in your hands. It's a bit like clay. You can I'm just squeezing it there into a shape, and you can just form it into any shape that you like. I'll just show it there. We've got the light there, so I've just made it into a ball there. And if I just get a stick, and then you're able to put your plant stems in it, and they won't move, and it does hold water. So it probably doesn't keep them as long as plastic foam. Obviously that gives your flowers a very long life, but for an event, for a wedding, it only needs to last for a day. So I think that's perfectly adequate. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually place it onto the tray, as if it was a block of floral foam, and make it into a shape, there. Just double check that you can see that, and it will just come back a bit. There we are, so it's a bit more in view there. And so this holds plenty of water. I probably could have given it a little bit more water today, but and it just really easily forms into shape. So you could use this for a hanging design, or in a container, whatever you like. And it just shapes very, very easily in your hands. So there we are. So this is gonna be quite, gonna use, not, if you were using foam, you'd be able to, because it holds things very well, you'd be able to make quite a much, a design maybe twice as long as this, and have quite long stems going into the foam. But I'm not quite so confident with this as I would be with foam. So I'm going to keep the stems quite short and make it into a small low arrangement. And I've chosen some small flowers today. I want this to be quite a small and delicate design. I do notice that some sort of table centerpieces, I suppose there's pressure of time to quickly fill up a space. They have quite big flowers. I've seen hydrangeas and sort of big roses and things. And I think it really needs to have quite small flowers and not take up too much room on the table. I've seen some designs, they're sort of quite wide, and the diners are sort of got these tiny little, all the chairs are really close together, they've got this tiny little space with their plate and this great big wide floral display. And I just think it's nice to not take up too much room on the table, and give the guests a bit of elbow room, on the table. So yeah, and that is the disadvantage about a low table decoration, is of course that it's taking up space on the table. If you have a raised one, which I'll be doing next week, it doesn't take up any room on the dining table. So I'm leaving a little space around the edge here because we're going to cover this with moss, but also to be able to get some water. I wanted to add some water, but this is very moist now already, and the moss is going to just hopefully keep the moisture in, and keep it nice and wet. And I think probably with hindsight I could have put a bit more water in this. It would have held a bit more water. So I'm just sort of squeezing it together, so I don't want it sort of crumbling once we're using it. And this is sort of going to be the shape of the design. It's going to be sort of a long, maybe a bit taller in the middle. Let's make it a bit taller in the middle and a bit lower, sort of coming down, pointing downwards at the sides. There, so I think that's that. So it's not terribly dirty. I've got these sort of little, it's just coconut. It's not like it's got soil or mud or anything like that, or manure or anything like that in it. It's a sterile, I think it's a sterile thing, so it just doesn't really smell or anything like that. So I think that will be quite nice, and then we'll just be able to hopefully just stick our material into that, and it will stay in place for the day. And I'm not sure if I said, but if you wanted to make a long runner all the way down the table, you could just use multiple, just repeat this with smaller trays and just join them all together and make a great big long tray, or a long runner all the way down the table. So that's looking good. So I'm just going to wipe my hands just to get that off. There we are, I'll get rid of that. And there's our container already prepared. So yes, that would be ideal for a wedding. A lot of people are getting married now. Now we're coming out of lockdown, and yeah, doing your own flowers is a lovely thing to do. Now I'm just going to give that a bit of a spray, and it is actually taking up, I'm just sort of looking at it, and it is taking up a bit of water. So I think probably it's better to give it as much water as it will take. It feels quite heavy, but now that I've shaped it, I could just add, so just spray on a bit more water. It's not actually running out the bottom yet, so I think, yeah, a bit more water it's able to soak that up. As long as we don't have water sort of slopping out the bottom of the tray, I think that will be fine. So just keeping a bit more water. So really, I think I would like to do this just keep spraying it until the water runs out the bottom. But I think I'm gonna stop there. But that seems to have taken plenty of water there. That's lovely. And now I'm going to cover it with moss. And I've got, being eco-friendly, I've got these bamboo mossing pins. So we're going to get got a bit of moss here. This moss has got quite dry. I have to say at the top. There, I've got some moss here. So this can be reused over and over again, and then eventually it can go on the compost heap. But if it was an event and people were just throwing the thing away afterwards, you know, this will all decompose. So with the moss, you just place the moss over your design, and normally in the forest trade they would use mossing pins which are made out of wire, but I've got these little ones here. They're made out of bamboo, so that they'll all rot down as well. So I don't think that's a huge well, we'll see how they work. They don't work very well. The wire ones, obviously they go in very easily. They're just sort of quick. You just bit of wire, but obviously when you're adding loads of wire to your design, it does make it more difficult. You can't separate out the wire afterwards, so really you've got to put the wire on your compost heap, and then sort of pick it out of the garden. I suppose it would rust and break down, but I don't really like putting wire in the green garden waste bins for collection. Because you're sort of, well, as you're putting wire in, aren't you? So it's not very nice thing to do. So right, so I've just covered that with moss, and you know, to be honest, it feels quite secure already. So I'm just tucking that in to make sure it's not. I don't want it sort of hanging over the edge, because in case the water siphons out of the container. But that didn't take much moss there. Oh, I've got a bit of a gap there, so I'll just put a bit more on there. So moss is very easy to work with, very sort of forgiving. There we are. So that's on there. I'm not even sure that I need the mossing pins, to be perfectly honest. Now that doesn't look quite sort of even to me. It looks a little bit there. Just trying to keep the shape nice and even. Now let's try these mossing pins then. Let's see how they go. So just push them in there. Oh, that's lovely. That's really easy to use. They go in really easily. So so I'm just securing the can you see? I'm not sure if you can see there. So I'm just holding the moss in place with these mossing pins. So they're really easy to use. So I was a little bit worried that perhaps they wouldn't be very good. So this is good now. So we can use these mossing pins going forward on a lot of different designs. So yeah, just holding that moss in place. I mean, it's not going to show anyway, but we don't want bits of moss falling out. So I'm just putting some around the back as well, so it's even all the way round. That's it. So I've got one there, and just stick some on the top as well. I don't use too many unnecessarily, but so there it is. So there's the moss is all secured in place, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to tie it with a bit of string as well, just to make it, you know, in case if you were carrying it and it dropped it on the floor and the whole thing, you don't want the whole thing tipping off out the container. So I'm going to tie it around with a bit of string. But anyway, that's the bamboo mossing pins. They seem to work very well. I'm not sure if I've put enough on there. Maybe I'll just pop on a couple more just to be on the safe side. But I've got a feeling that these won't, you know, they won't go soggy in the design. You'll be able to reuse them actually. They'll probably come out quite easily, you know, be able to recover them at the end. So there we are. So that's all there. It's all looking, you know, looking quite nice really, just as it is on its own. It doesn't look doesn't look too bad at all. So I'm just going to tidy that up there. I thought I was going to be making a lot more mess, so excuse me while I just tidy up. So I'm just getting rid of these bits of moss off here. So I'm just trying a different tablecloth today. I don't know if anybody noticed, but my grey one was getting a bit grubby, so I've put some Hessian down for a more rustic and natural look, as we're being a bit eco-friendly today. So there we are for our wedding design. So just pop that back there, all nice and tidy, or fairly tidy anyway. So we can just shape that a little bit more, and then I've got a new ball of jute string. So this is some nice green string here made of jute, and again, this will it's all compostable. It'll all break down when you're finished. There's no nasty plastics going into the environment, and so I'm just going to tie this a couple of times. I'm not very good at tying knots, I'm afraid. I'm not an expert at knots, but I'm sure somebody cleverer than me could make a really good job to tying some really nice knots on there. And yeah, so how am I going to do? There probably is a way, isn't there? There's a way that when you're doing a joint of meat, that you sort of string it all along. I mean, I'm a vegetarian, but I wonder if yes, we can do that. So I'm just sort of threading that through. I've twisted it round under the design, and I've just sort of looped it through on itself and just tighten it up a bit there. Oh, that seems to work. So I'm just holding it there, running the string underneath, and then hooking that through there. Oh, that seems to work. I'm sure you can't see very much of that on the scripts, the string. I'll have to do a little PDF or something. So I'm just looping it over and just tying it as we go along. So we've got string going along the top and along the bottom as well. So yeah, so this is like, I'm sure there's a joint of meat that you string up like this. I can't remember what it is, but it's the same technique. So there we are, nice and tight. So this is going to hold. So obviously with the with this coconut fibre, it will pull apart, whereas a foam block, it holds itself together. So this string will hold the coir block together. So I think that's, maybe I'll just do one more on the end. I think that's enough. Oh, and I've just seen a bit of coir there. I've missed a bit there. There's a bit showing, so I'll just cover that up and pop a couple of mossing pins on. It's a bit difficult to see because the coconut fibre, because it's this sort of brown colour, it doesn't show up very easily. It's quite difficult to spot where if you've missed a bit. Oh right, okay. So this is looking nice now. I'm very pleased with this. Okay, so I'm just wondering. So I'm just going to fasten that off at the end where I've tied it. Just do a little knot there, and oh well, I'm quite surprised at how neat and tidy this looks. Actually, I thought it might have been a little bit more tricky to do. So there we are, there's our base. We've got a lovely base there, made out of, it's quite heavy with the water, attached with string underneath, and yeah, and covered with moss. So in terms of our design, we haven't got to sort of worry about hiding. If you had floral foam, you'd have to make sure that there was no foam showing. But with this, because it's moss now, the guests can be sitting, they're sitting at the table and it's quite close up to their faces, and you haven't got to worry about them sort of peering through the foliage and finding a bit of floral foam showing. So we've really covered our mechanics. I think that's really good way to cover our mechanics. And what we're going to do now is, because I wetted the coconut fibre on the inside, so that was wetted, and we've got to keep this moss moist now and not allow the coconut fibre to dry out. So I've left that. It's a little bit, you know, there are a few just sort of little straggly bits there, but I think that's okay. I think that's okay. You know, you could make moss part of your design. It's not something that you have to. That's what I like about it, is that you don't have to hide it and cover it up with, like if you're having a little bit of chicken wire showing or a little bit of plastic tape, it looks really terrible. But you know, a little sprig of moss sticking out in your design, it's not a problem at all. So yeah, that's holding quite a lot of moisture there, and so we need we'll now onwards, going forward now, and until this is actually finished with, we need to keep spraying that and keep that nice and moist. But I think that's looking quite good as a basis for design, and really the only thing that's showing is the mossing pins. they're quite prominent, that you can see those, but I don't think that will fall off. No, so I'm not going to have a disaster on camera. So there you are. So it's secure. It's not going to fall off. So that's nice and secure. So you can have quite a lot of confidence in that. So yeah, so I'm pleased with that. So right, now we can get on and do the flowers. So just wipe my hands there where they're a bit wet. So I've got here I'm going to do quite a bright pink and white, sort of try and clashing pinks and whites. I was thinking about, you know, a white wedding really, so white design with pops of quite bright pink going into it. So I've got white spray roses, 2 lots of spray roses, white pom-pom spray chrysanthemums, pink chrysanthemums, and spray carnations, and some hypericum and some bouvardia here. So nice selection of plant material, but it's going to be mainly white, I think, with a few bits of pink going in as well. And what else have I got here? I've got this lovely foliage here. This is out from my neighbour's hedge. You may have seen me use it before. It's cherry laurel, and I absolutely hate the mature leaves of cherry laurel. They're very big and totally unsuitable for just, you know, doing flower work. But the young leaves, that, you know, they're quite nice. This pale green. They're quite, so I think they're quite good. So I expect we'll use some of that. I'll just leave some of that on the table. And what I wanted to say about, if you're doing a DIY wedding, to really try and maximise the amount of foliage that you can collect locally. Save your money for the flowers, and if you could go around your neighbourhood and find foliage, you can get a lot more stuff going if you're using local foliage. So you know, to go around your garden, your neighbours' gardens, you know, your neighbours' hedges, and you know, well ahead of the wedding, you should be able to see if there's going to be any foliage available, and it will really make your flowers, your budget, stretch a lot further. You can really create a lot of impact, you know, like in a marquee or in the wedding venue or whatever. You know, just using foliage and you know, make your flowers go a lot further. So we've got this here as well. So and really I think I'm going to just make a little. So I'm going to start with the foliage to make an outline, just to sort of guide me really on where I'm going. So will this go in? So this isn't going in as easily, and anything like as easily, with floor foam. So I'm just making a little hole there just to get through the moss actually, and then that will go in. There we are. That's it. So that's fine. And so I'm going to have to move these flowers out of the way. Give myself a bit more room there. That still looks a little bit high for me. I'll push that in a bit further. Can always shorten it again at the later on, and then so we'll have another piece going out here. I'm going to have to make a little hole, I think. These stems are quite soft. It's all right once you've gone through the moss, it's okay, but actually it's just to get it through the moss in the first place. So that's, and with this coir, you can sort of squeeze it back into shape around the stems after you've finished, which is good. So I'll just make a little hole with that. I think you know, like in a florist shop or something, people are under pressure, aren't they, to work very very quickly. And I suppose doing this video, I feel a bit under pressure to do it quickly, because I don't want to waste your time with long you know, unnecessarily lengthy videos. But yeah, so but I think if you can take your time over it and do things more slowly, these sorts of techniques, you know, are a lovely sort of relaxing thing to do. So let's put one in there. So yeah, it's just getting things in through the moss is a little bit tricky. So I've got a 1 in the middle, 2 pointing out around the side, and now I'm going to go sort of round, pointing them out in a, it's quite a sort of geometric shape really. For me, I'm always complaining about geometric shapes, but in flower design. And I'm just pointing these. Sorry, I'm not pointing these down. These need to point down, so they're actually coming down and touching. You see, they're going over the edge of the container and touching the table. So that's those. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to, because this is going to take a little while, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to stop the camera, and I'll just do this, finish putting the leaves in, and then I'll catch up with you once I've put the leaves in. So I'll see you in a couple of seconds. All right. Right, I'm back now. So I've just put all the leaves in. It could probably do with a little bit more. I've just noticed a gap there down at the front there. So anyway, so really covered that all over now. So that's you know, well, obviously it's not got any flowers in it, but I mean, it doesn't look too bad at all. And we haven't even started putting the flowers in yet. So I'm very pleased with the way that's looking. Yeah, kept it quite close in. Maybe it could do with a little bit more length going out to the sides, but we'll tackle that when we come to it. So let's press straight on. And right, so let's start with these lovely spray roses. And what I'm going to do is put those in first. Now I'm saying that we've got this lovely bouvardier here, which is quite big, isn't it? So I'm wondering actually whether the bouvardier ought to go in first. Because these are quite large blooms. So I'm just going to do a little stem count. I think I've got 10 there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So perhaps we could have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yes, let's do it that way. So I hate to cut the stems off these. This is one of these lovely florist type flowers. It's got a lovely straight stem with a rounded bloom on top. So perhaps we'll put that right symmetrically in the middle. The stems are going right, much stiffer stems than the laurels, I must admit. So they're going in much more easily than the laurel. I'm pushing that right into the base there. So these are going in like that. Okay, so we've got 1, 2, 3, and then just to alternate it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So where are we going to go? Yes, let's just try that anyway. I can always move them. It's not set in stone. There we are. These look rather nice. I've not used them before, but I rather like them. So we're just doing a sort of a zigzaggy line. Yes, that's right. Zigzag. So we've gone that way, and perhaps we'll go do a little pattern and go back the other way. Now I don't want these exactly opposite, so perhaps I'll put that one in there so it's a little bit different. And there we could have one down there, just slightly off. I don't want it to look too geometric. There we are. That's it. Oh, this is very pretty. This is bouvardier. I do rather like this. That's rather nice. So I'll pop another one in there. And now this is giving me an idea of sort of the depth of the arrangement, because yeah, so and we're just where we're going to set the height of all the other flowers. So just pop that one in there. So we've got 3 round there, 3 round there. I've got an odd one left. Oh dear, that's rather annoying, isn't it, having an odd one left? So maybe I don't have to use it. I'll set that aside, and we might use that at the end if there's a gap somewhere. So it's already starting to look, you know, look rather attractive, I think, in that. And what I forgot to say was, when you're preparing the base and you've got the moss over the coconut fibre and tie it, you could do that a week to 10 days in advance and just keep it sprayed and wet and leave it in a cool place, perhaps wrap it in, you know, put it in a bag or something, and that will be fine to prepare in advance, and then you could just wheel it out on the day or the day before when you want to do your design, and that will be absolutely fine. So there we are. So that's starting to look, yes, I do like that with the pink there. So right, let's use the, I mustn't forget what we've got here. I'm terrible for getting to the end of a design and forgetting what we've got, and I have got this grey, some grey foliage here, and I'm just wondering, just going to see what the stems are like on this, whether a bit of grey, because the pinks, some of the pinks don't, to be honest, don't really quite go together as I would have wished. I was just wondering if we might put in a little bit of grey foliage as well, that it might help just somehow sort of to join the different shades of pink together. So well, that's going in all right, so I think we might as well use that. This is some Santolina from out of the garden. There we are. It's creating a little bit of movement there as well, I'd say. There, just doing this all back to front. It's a bit difficult. There we go. That's it. And some of these had the stems had sort of flopped over in the garden, so they were growing up at a bit of an angle. Oh, so right. So I'm feeling a bit more with the design. When I start a design, there's this sort of horrible feeling of like, oh no, is it going to work? And then I'm sort of struggling with it, to be honest. And then it gets to a point where the plant material sort of starts to come together, and the colours are working together, and the textures are working together. You think, oh yes, it's a relief that it's going to work. And I'm just sort of seeing that now with this. It's starting to look, it's starting to look very pretty. So I'm just sort of relieved that I've got to that stage now, where all the colours seem to be working all right. So I'm wondering now how much plant material I'm going to use when it comes to it, because it's looking quite full already. I've only used one kind of flower, so that's lovely to see. Very sort of encouraging to see that. And if you're growing evergreen plants in the garden for cutting, you know, grey is a really good, it's a really good colour to have if you can. Grey, much more so than yellow foliage, but grey and silver seems to come in very useful a lot of the time. So this has sort of got a curve on it, so that's just creating a sort of interesting effect on there. So I hope you can see that. Now I'm just going to turn it round because I'm frightened I'm giving all the attention to one side, and now having done that, I can see we've got a gap there along the front where I've not covered up the container, so I need to pay attention to that. Okay, right, so bit of a gap, some nice gaps there, so I'm going to go straight on with the spray roses. Now I'm going to just pop that one off, that's a little bit short. And so I've said this on one of my other videos, when you buy spray roses, they don't all come up to the top. So if you put in the whole spray, you sort of lose these two blooms. So I'm just going to cut those down, and we'll use those as individually. And then hopefully this will go in on its own. That's it. So lovely. So yeah, just placing these quite sort of level. I think we're going to need a little bit more up and down variation in the height. So I just need to be aware of that. Now I'm just a little bit concerned. I don't know what I've done here, but I've not covered up the mechanics somehow there. So I just need to be a little bit aware of that. I think I'll just turn it round again so I can get a better. I think the problem is I can't. So I'm not seeing it when I have it that way round. So perhaps we need to just readjust some of these to cover up our mechanics. Put them a bit lower down. That's it. That's a little bit better. I don't know why it's not done it around the other side. I've got a little bit more of this cherry laurel left, so I could just pop that in there as well. There's a leaf there come off. I don't know what that is. Just tidy that up. Okay, so I'm going to have to put some flowers or something in there just to make sure that the mechanics is covered up. That's fine. So we've got a bit of a gap there. Okay, that's fine. And here I need to put something in just there, just to cover up the tray. That's it. There we go. That's lovely. Right, okay, so let's get these spray roses in, and just going to try and spread them evenly really across the design. And that's got a little one there, little 3 there, so I'll put 3 there and a 3 there. These stems are going in much more easily than the other ones. So there's a 2 there, perhaps pop that one in there. So I've got masses of plant material here. Oh, but that's starting to look nice and pretty now with the pink and white. I feel a bit more relieved now about the way the design's going. That's lovely. So just evenly space these out across the design. So I'm snipping the short ones off, popping them into water. Perhaps we could put this one here on this side. Here we are. So I might just have to step back in just a moment and just look and see where we are with these roses, so that they're just evenly spaced across the design. So something needs to go in there somewhere. Push that in. That's it. So the stems are going nice deeply into the base. So that's good. So we've got, I'm just looking where the sort of sprays are. So we've got a bit of a gap there. I'll probably do with a couple on this side as well. So I'll just do that. Get a nice big spray. Pop that in there. Let's even all the way round. And one of the things, you could put a couple of candles in this if you wanted to. So some candles would look nice in this as well on your, and that would add a bit more colour to your tablescape. So those two aren't quite even, but I'm going to put them in anyway. And so I'm just spacing these evenly around the design. I'm aware that I've got a bit of a gap there, but I wonder if I could put this extra bouvardia in there. I can see I've got a bit of a gap. So I wonder if that would go. Let's just see what it looks like there. Not sure about that. Looks like we've got 3 in a row there, so we don't really want that. That's not very nice. So I'm pulling out the laurel as I go along, which isn't a very good idea. So right, so I've still got that gap there. Maybe I'll put that up there next to the roses. That's it. So we haven't got those in a straight line, but I must just remember that there's something needs to go in there. Perhaps I'll use some more spray roses. That might be a way of just filling that gap sort of about there. That's it. There we are. Oh, that's lovely. So really, to be honest, there's not much more to do. You know, this isn't far off being finished really. I'm just going to turn it round, I think. I'm going to put all the other stuff in, but you know, you could sort of get away with this, I think, just as it is really. Just fill up a few gaps, and it's almost almost done. Now, when I'm doing that, I can see here I've left something out there, so I do need to go through and check for all those gaps. Now I'm going to save these short little bits of roses for last, and I've still got another bunch of spray roses, but I don't honestly think I'm going to be able to use them. So what else can I put in now? So we've got this lovely hypericum and these beautiful spray carnations as well. So I'm just wondering whether to keep going with the these spray roses, because these aren't really white, these are sort of like an ivory colour, and I'm just thinking that if I use the white, those ones go, but I thought these white spray carnations were a bit they were a bit sort of, you know, sort of a bright white, and that it was a different sort of colour, so I might leave those out, the spray carnations, and just do some more spray roses. And we've got these little fellas as well. Yes, let's do that. And this hypericum, it's a filler really, but they're quite big. Yeah, there's quite a lot on there on a stem. So maybe yeah, I'm gonna do some more spray roses. We'll put these in. Now what I did was I got 2 bunches of spray roses, and they're 2 different varieties. So that was something. So they just to put a bit more variety into the design, so we're not all using exactly the same thing. So that just makes it look a little bit more natural. Having even if you're using, you know, like all white spray roses, to try and have as many different varieties as possible going in, and that will make it look more natural, I suppose. So there we are. So I'm just going now. I did see some bits, didn't I, at the end? That's right. So I need to make sure those bits are covered up as well. Oh, I didn't prepare these spray roses, so they branch out all over the place. So you really need to chop them all down to get the material that will go in. And these ones are nice. They've got some leaves on them, which is you know, nice. Adds a bit more sort of foliage going into the design. So these are actually quite small, I have to say. Not that that's a criticism, but I'm trying to put the big things in first and get those in place, and then now I can see there's a gap down there. I need to fill that up. There we are. That's it. And there's another gap just there. I need to fill that one up too. That's it. Lovely. Oh, that does look pretty. I think that would look lovely on a table at a wedding somewhere. So yeah. So these aren't filling up as much space as I thought they would. So I might actually just move on to something else, and you come back to these afterwards. Perhaps we'll use the hypericum next. That's it. Let's use these because they're quite big, really. So I'll just do that. There we are. Okay. So now I'm going to add the hypericum. So there we go. Oh, that does look lovely. Okay. So there's the hypericum going in. And so when you're buying pink things, so you do have to be quite careful with pink, because there are lots of different sort of shades of pink, and they don't really they very often don't go together. So and really these pink hypericum, there is sort of a corally sort of a pink, and they don't, I would say they don't especially go perfectly with the Bouvardia, but with that bit of grey and the foliage, I think I've sort of got away with it. But otherwise, I would say they those pinks don't go together. So it's just to be quite careful there if you're buying pink flowers, to really have a look at the shades of pink and see whether you think they work together. So really we could put a couple of hypericum at each end, and then some down the side there as well. So, oh, this is looking quite luxurious. I'm quite pleased with this. I think it does look pretty. So, and I want to try and include some texture as well. I've got some white limonium there. I don't know if there'll be time to pop that in as well towards the end. Just see if we can put that in. So I'm just putting a couple of bits of the hypericum at each end. So I think I've done one there. So we need another one there, and a couple down the side as well. But I think this is sort of nearly finished now. I was expecting to put lots more plant material, but it looks nearly full now. So I might I'll just try some of those pink chrysanthemums. But I think we're really getting quite close to having finished it. So I've totally overestimated the amount of plant material I'm going to need. So tucking these in quite low. So plenty of interest here if you if you're dining and you've got something sort of interesting to look at in front of you with this centrepiece. So now I would have liked a little bit more length at the side, so I might use the spray roses for that to keep it. It feels it needs to be a little bit more pointy at the end. It looks a bit like a sort of a sausage shape. So I'm going to hang out some spray roses at the end, at either end, to make it look a little bit longer. And certainly at this end, there's some, yeah. So it's got pointy ends, looks a bit like a sausage at the moment, and we need to have some more pointy ends. So I'm quite surprised at how quickly this has all gone together, and it hasn't used nearly as many flowers as I was expecting it to. So that's very good. So go in there. Oh, that's it. Just filling the way with that. Yeah. So it does need to have a more sort of pointed end to it, so it doesn't look like a sausage. But otherwise, I think that's nearly finished. That's too short. Put that in there. So a nice long piece I'm looking for here. A nice long piece, so we can get a pointy end. That's it. So there. So now I've just extended it out a little bit at the end. I'll maybe put some more roses there to give it a more sort of pointed finish to it. So I've got a nice long piece there. So let's tuck that one in there. So that's it, just to make it elongated a little bit. So we've still got a few little gaps that could be filled in. Now I'm really curious to see what this pink chrysanthemum will look like in there, whether that works. Well, I think it does work, so I'm going to give that a little go. It's really it's a different shade of pink, or different tone or tint or whatever to the other ones, but I think it's going to make it quite sort of bright and zingy. That's not gone in properly at all. The stems are quite soft, I think, on this. I'm going to have to use my little stick to make a hole in there for them to go in. There we are. So that's gone in. There it is. So yeah, so I think that pink does look right. So this is coming out much more pink than I'd imagined at the beginning. But yeah, so it's quite bright. I wanted something to look quite. I wanted it to look quite bright. So I think that will be fine. Just put in some of these bright pink chrysanthemums. And when you're buying chrysanthemums, another tip is to watch with the colour of them, that they very often come with a yellow eye. So if you're buying pink, they might have a yellow eye or a green eye. So you do need to be aware of the colour of the eyes in them. Now I think I'm going to stop there and just go round and just finish it off with these little pink bits there. But I think that's more or less done. So there we are. So you've got a DIY wedding centrepiece there, and this is completely natural, apart from the tray, which we'll keep and reuse. Everything here will rot down, so there's no plastic in here at all. So that, you know, I find that quite satisfying to know that we've not used any plastic. Now I'm going to go over it again and just check all the little details and look underneath and make sure there are no gaps and that the mechanics are all covered up. But that's it. So that didn't really take very long. It was putting in the foliage really took the most time. But once we got going with the flowers, that was quite quick. So there it is. So there's your DIY wedding centrepiece, and I'll just put some pictures on at the end just to show the finished thing. So anyway, thank you for joining me, and I'll just pop back on in a minute when I've just tidied everything up. Thank you. So there it is. I've just gone over and just checked it. I just made sure that there are no gaps and the mechanics aren't showing, and just to finish it all off. And so there it is, your low table centerpiece for a DIY wedding or any event there.